Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to cut down a tree and grind out the stump. I had two medium-sized trees down in this field that I highlighted the other day, and I wanted them both gone. Doing a little trial and error. The first tree, I used the ripper on the backhoe, busted all the roots out, pushed the tree over with the loader on the tractor. Now I have a different type of mess to clean up than if I had cut it off and decided to grind it out. So I've got my 2038R here, little compact tractor. I've got a new Woodland Mills stump grinder. I'm going to see how this compares. Is it more efficient? Does it leave me more or less mess to clean up? Mainly just highlight this stump grinder for some of you guys that might be interested in an affordable stump grinder. I'm a dealer for Woodland Mills, so I actually sell these. Normally a unit from me is $2,150, $2,150, not a bad price. But I've only got to use one personally one time, so this will be some good experience for me. Let's get this thing put on the tractor and then go cut a tree down. Okay, so not a bad setup at all. We've got a bolt-on scabbard here to hold the chainsaw. Pretty handy little feature because if you're grinding stumps, you're often cutting them down short or leveling them. We've got these retractable feet that make the stand. It's got a slip clutch for the PTO shaft. Here's how the design of the cutting wheel looks. It's pretty similar in design from this standpoint to the grinder I had before. First tooth is straight down, second one is slightly angled out, and they just continue to angle out till you get all the way around, and then this one is up on the side of the wheel. They just keep working in. Now as you use this, you'll replace this tooth and this tooth quite a bit, but you'll hardly ever replace this tooth. That's why they sell 6 packs of teeth when the thing has 24 teeth. You hardly ever replace them all. We've got a lot of spots here that are greasable, like right there on the U-joint, up here on these pivot points. So I'll go ahead and go through and grease all of that before getting started. It's got a deflector here. I think some people prefer to run it without the deflector, but it doesn't really stick down enough to cause much interference. It is quick hitch compatible. You've got to check your tractor to see if the PTO needs cut down. I'm pretty sure mine doesn't. I've got a lot of room to travel there before it's going to bottom out. Instructions are in here along with a specialized wrench that's used to change teeth. One thing that's important to note is we have a pin here that is inserted for storage or transport. But you take this out to actually use the grinder. Because the way this works is you're driving across the stump and it can only cut so fast. If you drive faster than it cuts, you would break something basically. You'd put too much pressure on the wheel, you'd grind it to a stop, you would damage your 3-point linkage. Something is going to go wrong if you've got this up against a stump and you're grinding and you try to go too fast. But it's really hard to control your speed perfectly. So you remove this pin and it makes this a pivot point. Now, if you travel too fast, this rocks back and it just doesn't fully grind, which is not ideal, but it's a lot better than being fixed and breaking something. Well, I just want to cut this tree down and start grinding it out and see how that grinder does. But I really can't skip steps because that one is going to land on this one. So I got to get it out of the way. And it's really a comparison type video. That one, I ripped the roots out and pushed it over. Didn't take that long, maybe 30 minutes. But now, when I cut this off, I've got the trunk. I don't have a stump to grind out, but I've got this root ball to dispose of, and it won't really burn with all that dirt. And then besides having the root ball to dispose of, I've got this big circle that is a mess. So people tell me the best thing to do is just to break the roots and shove them over. Well, that's debatable. You can have an opinion, I can have an opinion. No right or wrong answer. But this leaves one kind of mess. Now we're going to do it the other way. Another one bites the dust. You know, in my mind, this was just a little bitty tree. It is just a little bitty tree. So I was thinking, now that's a really easy one. But if you actually look at it, you look at the top of the tree, when it falls, it's only going to want to fall one way. And when it does, it's going to probably hang up in this other tree. So it might end up being a pain. I have a feeling it's not going to fall. Let's go ahead and cut it. So I've actually never had that happen, but just looking at it, I knew for a fact it was going to happen on this one. So now we've got a small tree, but it's a dangerous tree. So let's see if we can find a smart way to deal with this. There's a lot of ways I could deal with this. I could tie something to the tractor and just try driving with the bottom. The bottom's almost completely separated. I could come in here with the skid steer, get the boom way up the trunk and try pushing it that way. There's a lot of different ways. When I think about how do I solve this problem, I think what is the least dangerous, the least risky thing I could do? And to me, that's a slow, under control pull. So I'm going to use a winch. Throwing something over it helps to keep it from flying back at you. So, like I already said, there might have been better ways to get this down, but the way I did it felt pretty safe, and that's what I was going for. I'm gonna chunk this up, get it out of the way, then we'll grind that stump off. That was a medium-sized stump. It was not that big, 20 inches maybe. They always get wider at the base, and there was a long root sticking up above the ground. I cut all that out, and I ground that 8 to 10 inches below grade. And this one is gone now, and I'll push all these wood chips back into the pile. But those wood chips are really rich. They're not gonna just let hay grow over it right away. It's gonna be a bare spot, just like the one I salted out, just like the one I flipped over. None of these just disappear because you do whatever. I will say, and we're being blinded by the sun, but I will say there's some big piles of dirt here that I can use. Might bring the Harley rake down here and smooth all this out. Because, like I said in the first video when I was down here, the idea is that all of this, should be a hay field. And today, it's nothing. I don't like my property not being useful for anything. It's like I don't like a log not being useful. Everything should be used for something. I hate the waste of it. So, the idea is to smooth all this out, maybe run the Harley rake, go get some soil test, get some hay growing out here. Right now it's scrub brush and briars and all that kind of junk. So, I need to get over and get that soil test done. But mainly, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.